take a certain area in almost any large city in the United States, a population of 78,600, which we are. If you took a segment out of any of those cities where it was 72% black, and you'd probably find that the crime rate would be just as high as it is here in Compton. And it's a matter of living in a racist society. Black people are forced to resort to, many times, to crime.
You never can put manhood in your personal and then pick it up when you raise. You did. You got to be a full-time man. And brothers don't be full-time men. They say, well, hey, I can't do this because of my job. Well, hey, if it's benefiting black people, the hell with your job.
What do you call a revolution? Throwing a brick, hitting a teacher? Is this what you call a revolution?
No, well,
we got a monument in Watts of what a brick throwing revolution will do.
Right.
Got a lot of vacant lots down there.
But
and no grocery stores.
Blacks have no money, and we have fought all our lives for integration. But we're actually talking about segregation. And we cannot live alone. We have no money. We have no resources. We have to have the right and a healthy attitude.
The scare tactics have occurred in which industrial commercial interests have said we'll have to leave this city because it's going down the tubes, it's going to be all black, which ergo means it'll be bad, which isn't necessarily true.
Compton is truly a community situation, and the test that's being run now is to find out whether it can operate.
2 decades ago, Compton, California was a lily-white, affluent bedroom community known as the Hub City. Today, it is known as the most black city west of the Mississippi. What happened in between was classic of what has happened in several other cities across the nation. As blacks moved into Compton, whites fled, as usual, to the suburbs, leaving the now over 70% black population to inherit a city overburdened with basic economic problems. Compton is situated 12 miles outside of Los Angeles and just next door to the well-known community of Watts. It is surrounded by 8 small towns that have managed to preserve their white majority population. Compton is a city that typifies the frustrations, problems, and aspirations of majority black cities and administrators across the country, who must strike some balance between citizens' demands for improved municipal services and inadequate, near stagnant sources of revenue. Sales, income, and property taxes are usually as high as they can go in these cities, considering the majority of the U.S. black population is already overtaxed and usually underpaid. Keeping already established businesses and attracting new business is a problem. Unemployment is another. Even when Compton was predominantly white, most residents worked outside of the city. That situation has remained unchanged. Thus, Compton is called a bedroom community. However, for blacks in Compton as elsewhere, the task of finding and keeping an adequate job within or outside of the city is much harder than it is for whites. In 1963, Compton elected its first black councilman, an automobile sales manager named Douglas Dollarhide. 6 years later, in 1969, he became the first black mayor.
We have the same type of government that all of the other cities in the state of California have. We relate to the county government, the state government, and the federal government in the same sense that other cities relate to them. Uniquely, I guess we are 72% black. We're about 10% Mexican American. We have quite a few Samoans and American Indians and a few white people left around. So I guess in that sense we're unique. We may be unique in problems as well because we have a very difficult time trying to get insurance for our businesses and for our homeowners. There's a problem of getting financing as far as flooring of automobiles for automobile agencies or flooring of merchandise for appliance stores and so forth like that. Naturally, in the black communities, we have that type of problem.
Most of us who are black have grown up, except in recent years, with the idea, or at least with the constant reinforcement that things that were black or black run were inherently inferior to things that were white or white run. And so we have an internal problem to overcome in that respect, and we can't overcome the internal problem until there are enough success examples in black people for us to recognize that these things are mythology and that we need to go on and get on to the next thing rather than worrying about how good somebody else is. We ought to be getting ourselves together. Many of the problems and programs that we're trying to implement and address, it takes 18 months, 3 to 5 years perhaps, to see visible evidence. For example, a case in point would be our downtown redevelopment, our Rosecrans project redevelopment, and the development of our Civic Center, which is also a part of the downtown redevelopment. Now, these buildings, they have to be planned, they have to be drawn up, and then we have to buy the land, we have to condemn buildings. There are various processes that we have to go through before the actual physical building can be there. We do not have a large department store of note in the city. We do not have first-class restaurants in the major portion of the city. We do not have a theater in the downtown section of the city. We have basically small businessmen, what a lot of people like to call mom-and-pop type stores. So what we're trying to do about it by redeveloping the downtown is to interest large department stores and new businesses coming into the city. We're making attempts to annex portions of territory that include industrial parks that will increase the population of the city and also increase
involve them in programs here in Compton, in government in Compton, and having some say about what happens in Compton. And it's extremely difficult because we first have to teach concepts of organization and a kind of organization we've never been involved in. And here it's thrown on us all at once. We have to organize people, we have to educate people to the need of organization, and then we have to explain what the organization is going to do as a result of being organized, where we're going, what's the goal, what's the objective.
My feeling is that we have to align ourselves with Africa and have an import-export exchange with Africa, because this is the only place we will be able to set up an economic, pardon me?
What are you going to import?
The same thing the United States is
what are you going to
import and export from Africa today.
What are you going to import besides, you know, I mean, some nose rings or some earrings or some road shoulders?
Gold.
I'm not talking about knowledge of self. I'm agreeing with you 100%. Wait a minute.
Well, hey, when you...
Although many blacks agree on a psychological identification with Africa, many, as do these Compton blacks, disagree on whether African countries can contribute economically to black Americans. A unique channel of communication between city law officials and the community is underway at the Compton Special Services Center. Weekly rap sessions provide an opportunity for all concerned to air their diverse opinions on any subject dealing with black life, from youth to economics.
One of the reasons that black people aren't really getting what they want or what they need from this society is simply because we haven't established any economic base. And then that's right. But yet and still, you still got to get out there somewhere, and you're not going to get an economic base from studying black. Yeah, I want to know black myself. But first, I also realize that that economic situation is not going to get me out there.
How do you form an economic base in a racist society when you are the minority?
How did they form it?
By the gun.
It has already been shown that the black dollar is going into all types of spaces of the black dollar, the dollar that you got out and worked for.
Hey, you know what? Money ain't got no color, Chief.
But where do you stop and get involved in the economics of this country?
After you learn self.
Economic development, that's the #1 problem in the city. #2 would be suppression of crime in the criminal justice system. #3 would be youth development, 4 would be parks and recreation, and 5 would be internal organizational development, meaning that within the city we feel that there may be a necessity for reorientating the way that we go about solving problems organizationally as a city government.
The primary focus, though, of our Model Cities program is to work within the area of economic development. Housing is one part of that. We hope to have a housing program that will be attractive to local residents who, like many of the whites who fled from this city, will not flee but will stay and build a quality community.
When many of the whites that lived in the community moved out, they were the ones that owned the businesses. So as they moved out of the community, they moved their businesses out of the community as well. Physically, we have a larger industrial base, believe it or not, than we had in 1963. In fact, the largest that the city of Compton has ever had. We annexed 540 acres of industrial land, and we have many of the major firms that are located here in the city, particularly the Japanese firms such as Datsun, Sony, Craig, and many other Japanese electronic component manufacturers.
We have for 72-73 a $15 million budget. Over 40% of that budget, that is approximately $7 million, comes from federal funds. So that means that you've got approximately $8 million that are developed from property tax, sales tax, and licenses and fees that the city collects. And we hope that as time goes by, we'll be able to do more things that relate to the youth of our city. The reason we have such an emphasis and a desire to emphasize the youth is that the median age of our community of 80,000 is 19.1 years, which means that almost half of the people in the city are teenagers.
How you gonna get some guidance? You know, my mother took care of me when my old man kicked. You know, she said, Marvin, be in the pad at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, Marv was in the pad, but out the window at 10:30. She thought I was in the pad asleep, but I was out shooting dice with the boys, stealing plenty of cars. When you came and told her that I had stolen, she told, hey, no, not my son.
But the fact still remains that the kid's gonna have to get some motivation. And we can sit up here and criticize black families or white school system or whatever. But yet and still nobody is really offering anything to substitute it. Well, just like it's up to, I feel personally, it's up to black people, which again, I don't even have any means. It's up to black people themselves to accept the responsibility that they got to get it, because they know
parent can't do it. Of this, a black environment, that most of the time you don't even have two parents. I know in my neighborhood ain't nobody got two parents unless one of them's a drunk, you know. So we can't deal with the problem being on the parent. You understand me? When she lets him out the house and send him to the school, she thinks she put him in good hands.
Well, the crime has increased steadily, and like our schools, the guys who work days, we have to go up to each high school maybe 4 to 5 times per day. Or I can remember when I was going to Willowbrook or Centennial High that I never saw a policeman there unless it was career day or something like that. And now every day we have to go up there 4 and 5 times a day and arrest 3 or 4 students. I wasn't even aware, though I'd been a policeman for 3 years, just how serious it was that Compton had the amount of hard drugs like heroin and cocaine that they have in the city. We just recently, this year, started a narcotics detail, and these guys have been making numerous arrests on heroin addicts and confiscating as much as $1,000 worth of drugs out of one house.
If you could take a certain area in almost any large city in the United States, a population of 78,600, which we are, if you took a segment out of any of those cities where it was 72% black, and you'd probably find that the crime rate would be just as high as it is here in Compton. And it's a matter of living in a racist society. Black people are forced to resort to, many times, to crime.
Most of the crimes are committed by the juveniles. One thing, you could arrest a juvenile, take him to the police station, and even before you finish writing your arrest report, he's been released to his parents. That happened one day when I arrested a kid for having a gun at a school, and it was loaded, plus he had some pills, some Red Devils on him. And we arrested him, brought him to the station, and I was typing my report, And just as I had finished the report, another officer came into the report writing room and told me that, showed me who he had arrested. And it was the same kid that I had arrested about an hour earlier. And they had let the kid go. He went home with his mother, climbed out a window, and went right back up to the school and started something else, and subsequently got arrested again.
Most cities that are predominantly black, or in areas even in larger cities where there's a very heavy black population, they've had riots and disorder, and the city of Compton has never had any riots or never had any major disorders. We've been rather tranquil.
Although Compton hasn't erupted into large-scale violence, daily crime is a problem. Compton has one of the highest crime rates of any city in the country. Since January, there have been 38 homicides in this city of 10.5 square miles. But crime has its roots in a number of other problems, such as poor housing, unemployment, and lack of recreational facilities, which can be blamed on the economic woes of Compton. It's a vicious cycle. The fact that Compton has few recreational facilities contributes to the crime rate. The crime rate keeps business investors out. The lack of business creates an economic problem for the city, which makes more recreational and other social facilities impossible. One solution may be an unprecedented cultural renaissance going on daily at the Compton Arts Academy. Sponsored by city funds, the Academy provides a mecca of entertainment and learning for people of all ages.
Okay, class, physical exercise. Ready, begin. 1, 2, 3.
The Communicative Arts Academy is a nonprofit organization sponsored by the Compton Willowbrook Community Action Agency, and we have classes or workshops in drama, dance, visual arts, very good photographic workshop, a very good jazz workshop, and a tremendous dance department. The participation now of about 700 people. Anyone in the community has something to offer, and so we feel that participants bring us as much as we could ever offer them. The drama workshop works like all the rest. People come, and they come with themselves, and they just bring themselves.
Sort of, Pop. Who was just down there goofing? What you mean, sort of? You either been with him or you ain't. Yeah, I've been with him. I told you he's a bad influence, didn't I?
Bad influence? Oh, Mr. Robinson, what's wrong with you?
Shut up.
Sir?
Look, don't you forget what I told you.
All right. I won't forget.
Right now, the jazz workshop can account for possibly obtaining credits through the Unified School District by September. The young people who participate in that workshop will be getting school credits for their participation. These are young people, the same young people that just come from the streets. The talent is out here, and the only thing that we have to do is to help expose, to build stages for it, and to really involve people.
We're going to deal equally and separately type of society. Can we exist? Can we exist with a house divided? I don't believe that we can exist in this country with a house divided the way it's structured at the present time. I don't care whether you're black, white, brown, red, whatever, yellow, whatever you might be. Unless we get it together, and when I say together, we got to get it together in order to exist. Otherwise, this country, man, is going down the tubes.
But you say, aren't we living in a house that's divided right now?
You know what's happening?
When you have a double standard of justice?
Man? What's happening? We're crumbling.
Right.
That's the reason why we're crumbling.
Then, I mean, you know, we still talk about individualistic ideals. You understand? Like, black studies program, you know, everybody say, hey, that's a bunch of junk, you know, people ain't gonna learn, but hey, just to hear it, you understand, to talk about it, to talk about blackness and black concepts and start on a realistic basis, not know about the dashikis and the Africa. Hey, you can still be a professional black man, you understand me, and wear corvadas. But we talk about you being an individual, not being some clown because it's a fad, you understand me, being a brother, a part-time brother. That's what's crumbling, part-time brothers. Everybody talking about unity but not knowing the means of unity. Unity is when I learn myself and help another brother. That's unity.
And I'm very well aware of black awareness, of black power, and things of this nature. I feel that that's very positive, but it's only a segment of the total picture. We do not live in an all-black world. We do not live in an all-white world. We live in a world, and therefore we have to address ourselves to the world.
When do you leave Dice? And that's the problem we're having now, is that we
never try to. How we have no?
Right
we
here
can't
in
say we
the city
have
of
the
Compton,
problem.
we're still killing each other.
That's right. You know why? Right. Because hey, we have such switcheroos, and I'm talking about part-time brothers. We don't have nobody dedicated to nothing.
Oh, that's why we killing each other?
We don't have anybody dedicated. That's right.
That's why.
You know what's the big thing?
You can't hide the fact that you're black. I can't hide the fact. Any place I go, I go.
That's what niggas trying to say that you know, they black until they make some money. And then they're another color. They Negroes are colored. You understand me? Hey, they want to be everything else. You got Sammy Davis Jr. He's an Israelite or whatever. You know, all of them. What is it? Eartha Kitt? She's French. Huh? Dig them. Ain't nobody black. Ain't nobody want to accept. You know, all the hills. Out of all the hills we have in Compton, didn't one nigga make a hill in Compton? They all go to Baldwin.
I understand
the Beverleys.
that.
Hey, if money spends and talk about economy and black community, why don't niggas, if they so black, spend it in a black community? They jiving.
You talking about the black man.
You talk about how we gonna get blacks together. Start taking off some of these niggas' heads. The ones that ain't doing nothing, that's dump trucking owners. These are the ones you have to get rid of.
I am an American. I have racial awareness, but I don't have any hang-ups. I think white because the guidelines are written by whites. How are you going to think black with no money? You're an American. You have a black color, but the guidelines and the system is white. You have to change, and you have to be a part of the changes. Implement your own ideas.
I feel that the people in Compton are, for the most part, unfamiliar with many of the dynamics of city government. We're still in a really learning situation here involving the whole community, which in actuality has never, I feel, existed in the country, where the whole community has been involved in the community.
I would say that we face the same problems that Carl Stokes faced in Cleveland, or Hatcher faced in Gary, or Gibson faced in Newark, and that is that the predominant attitude and perception of black administrators is one that goes back to the Reconstruction period. And they tend to forget that mayhap we came out of the same schools, had the same experiences. And I think that if we start to look at it positively, we have an additional dimension to our capability that those who are not black do not have.
Compton, California symbolizes other predominantly black and black-controlled cities across the country, struggling to survive against tremendous odds. Whether or not Compton can survive depends on how and how soon its black administrators can alleviate the major problems plaguing the city. This means, 1, dealing with white purse holders of a large portion of their budget in the federal government, which has previously been insensitive to the black community's needs. 2, finding a new means of getting old sources of revenue or finding entirely new revenue sources for the city budget. 3, improving social conditions for Compton citizens without going bankrupt. And 4, casting out some or much of the old in lieu of new programs. There are a lot of variables to juggle and a lot of ifs to make happen. But one thing for certain, if black cities anywhere can exist in this society, the city of Compton, California has the will.
I think that Compton will survive. I think that we have gone through a period of trial and error, which is common to any group, that they've suddenly been thrust into positions that previously they were not in. I feel, though, that in order to survive, there will have to be a new awakening among the citizens that one's destiny has to be decided by himself and not by others. And it could very well be stated that this is a problem facing Black America.
If the people that care don't get to know each other and don't realize that there are other people like them that are interested in working towards making Compton the kind of city that anyone would want to live in and to have the kind of security that anyone would feel perfectly safe in walking its streets, well, if that doesn't happen, then the future is dark.
I see Compton as being an example. It will turn out to be either a good example or a very, very bad one. And unfortunately, in Compton, we don't have that much time to decide which will happen.